Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Uriah Hackala, Senior Director of Professional Services here at Kapow Software. Today, we're really excited to be joined by Darren Klum, Director of Business Systems at PITT OHIO, who are a leading U.S.-based transportation solution provider. Darren is a really long-time user of Kapow, and today he's going to share several use cases where PITT OHIO was able to improve their efficiencies and grow their business by integrating and automating key business processes around customer care and credit and collection. These processes require a lot of ongoing interaction and data exchange with a variety of partners, all those interactions that were automated with Kapow. Just briefly, a couple of logistical items. For those of you that have been here before, you know these, but these sessions will be recorded, and we're going to make them available for on-demand viewing on our website. I definitely encourage you to ask questions throughout the webinar. You can do that by typing them in here in the GoToWebinar window, and we'll try to answer as many of them as possible here at the end. If for some reason we don't have time within the 30 minutes, we'll follow up with you individually afterwards to address your questions. Finally, if you are tweeting today, the hashtag for this webinar series is KapowNow. So with that, Darren, I'm going to hand this over to you to take us through the presentation.
Okay, thanks Uriah for the introduction. I'd like to welcome everyone to the webinar, and I'm looking forward to sharing PITT OHIO's experience with Kapow and the Kapow Catalyst software. So let's get started with a little bit of background on PITT OHIO. Basically, we're a supply chain and transportation solutions company. Predominantly, we are a less than truckload carrier. We also have truckload, supply chain, and ground businesses. The truckload part of our business is through ECM Transport, which is a subsidiary of PITT OHIO, basically in the same footprint that we have. Supply chain is our newest part of the business, and we're focusing on dedicated carrier right now. And our ground division is relatively new also. We have both a brokerage business and an asset business through U.S. Cargo. A little bit more information on the truckload side. I'm sorry, the less than truckload side. Again, we're a private-held regional carrier based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. About $315 million in sales in 2012. Over 2,500 employees, and we ship about 1,200 shipments daily. And that's we strive for a 97-98% next day delivery goal target. For those of you that aren't familiar with less than truckload business, basically it's too heavy or too big to fit in a panel or a delivery van. It's not a full trailer. It's considered less than truckload. Lots and lots of different customers out there, thousands of customers, basically anybody who needs to ship something that I just described. Lots of information as far as the shipment is concerned and how that shipment is moved. So we have a lot of information moving through our systems and in partnerships with our customers. There is some overcapacity in the market right now, I believe. So I think it's important to stay close with your customers, particularly in the environment we have today. And there is some consolidation and data consolidation going on through freight payment companies, which I'll talk a little bit about in a little bit here, and through 3PL, third-party logistics companies. Just continuing on with who PITT OHIO is, we're part of the Reliance Network. We have partnerships with Averitt, Canadian Freightways, Lakeville Motor, Land Air, Peninsula of Mount Valley, to have delivery capabilities, pickup and delivery capabilities throughout the United States. Okay, so enough about PITT OHIO. Let's talk about what I'm hoping to be able to share with you today, or at least some of the takeaways from the session over the next 20 minutes. Hopefully at the end of the time you'll be able to see how PITT OHIO increased revenues by decreasing our aged receivables, how we were able to reduce cost by saving over 30 man-hours per week, how we streamlined our processes, automating 100% of routine activities. I know everybody's going to say 100%, but those were the routine activities, the things that were done time and day after day. We were able to automate all of that. And we improved productivity by 90-95%, and that's by taking those 100% routine activities and making them automated. So I'll give you the whole 50,000-foot story, I think, right now on this business needs slide, and then we'll move into a more detailed explanation. So basically, this is about 2 years ago. Had a unique situation, and I had the manager of our customer service department come up to me and say, hey, we're getting into a situation where we have managed accounts, which are high touch, high visibility accounts that are asking us to spend more and more time in putting information onto their websites, sharing information with them, and they want us to do that work. And I was like, okay, let me look into this and see what I can come up with. I think I understand where you're coming from. And right about the same time, the credit and collection, or the vice president of our admin billing area, came up to me and said almost the same thing. She said, we have these freight payment companies and we have customers that are asking us to spend time on their websites and getting information out about our receivables, what's the status of our receivables, and if they're going to be paid or not, if they're not going to be paid, why. And they're asking us to do that work. And so, instead of us being able to call and get information from them or them sending us the information, they're asking us to go out to their website and pull that information and obtain that information ourselves. So the same question or the same request was, can you help me? Is there anything out there that you can do from an IT perspective to take this burden of this manual human process? So basically both people, both ladies, with the same question. So I said same thing. I was like, yeah, I think I can help you out here. So in a previous life that I had before PITT OHIO, I'd had the chance to use Kapow Catalyst software and sharing information between the company I was at then and insurance companies that we were doing business with. And I said, I think this is going to be a great solution for what we needed here at PITT OHIO. So got in touch, again, high-level story here, got in touch with Kapow, got in touch with the salesperson, say, I think I have an opportunity here. Can you guys come in and talk to us? So they came in. We talked about the two needs of the business that we had. We did a prototype in each area where the Kapow folks helped us set up some robots, models, and verified that we could do the business activities that we needed to do. Went through with the purchase of the software, and guess a little bit of that's history from here. So that's, again, the high-level story. I want to get into more details now and give you a real deeper dive of what we've done and how we've done it. So let's talk first about customer service. At the time, we had 5 customer service reps kind of dedicated to these managed accounts and really working on keeping track of the business processes and the statuses of the shipments. And if you think about it, we had about 6 customers at this time that had us having to do this manual process. And if you think about it, 6 different customers, doesn't sound like a lot, but each of them had a different customer portal. Each of them had a different set of logins. Each of them had a different set of navigation. Each of them had a different set of data requirements. What data did they want on their website when we were updating them? And some had different service level requirements. They wanted to know within the hour or within 2 hours of a status change of a shipment. So we were very focused on a very few number of shipments compared to our 12,000 a day, but they were taking up a vast majority of the time of these customer service reps. So very an imbalanced business process if you think about it. And again, these were very convoluted processes. Sometimes we would get an email requesting a pickup. Sometimes we would get an EDI transaction, but throughout the day we were having to manage a manual process of tracking what was happening. So very convoluted, very disorganized, tough to manage. And I'll give you a quick example of one of the accounts that we had. So we would get an email request for pickup from the customer, And so our customer service representatives had to monitor an email inbox throughout the day and watch for these emails to come in. And then once that email came in, the customer service rep would kind of pick up the email, print it, and file it in a folder. So we kind of printed and filed it because we knew we had to do additional things throughout the day with that shipment. So that was kind of like the reminder to do that. So print and file, and then our customer service representative would go into our system and enter the pickup, and do the appropriate data entry in our system to do the to create the pickup, and then they would go log into our customers portal and then enter in the pickup information from our system. So they were doing double entry, and then I guess basically steps 3 and 4 continued throughout the day, not the same activity of scheduling the pickup and confirming it, but updating as events occurred. So when the shipment was picked up, our customer service representative would notice that in our internal tracking system, because she was watching it or he was watching it every half an hour, every hour, checking. When the shipment was picked up at our origin terminal, they would go in to the customer portal and say, okay, your shipment was picked up at our customer or at our origin terminal, and here was the time, and give it the information it needed to. And then when it had arrived at the origin terminal, again, we were going in and updating the status. And when it was sent from when the shipment went from our origin terminal to the destination terminal, it was the status was updated. And then when it went out for delivery, so all day long over a 2-day period of time, we had people watching the shipment and updating the customer's portal. So very time-consuming, very difficult to manage. Missing different activities, your service levels were going down. So basically, with the Kapow software, the Kapow Catalyst software, we were able to automate basically the whole process. And what we've done is we have a Kapow robot running, and it's watching that email inbox, the same email inbox that the customer service representative was watching. And it's watching, and when the email arrives, the software robot, it reads that email, and then simultaneously it can create a order or a pickup request in our system, and then it uses that information, and then it logs into the customer site and the customer's portal, and it places that information in there. And basically the Kapow robot then is doing step 2 throughout the day, as I was just explaining, all those statuses, all those events that are occurring. The Kapow robot, the Kapow Catalyst robot, is watching our internal tracking system, and it knows what shipments to look for. And as it's sitting there, it's watching, and as events occur, it knows what the previous event was. It looks for the next event, and when the next event occurs, it gives that information over to the customer portal. So we've basically taken the human interaction of that whole process and have replaced it with the Kapow robot. This slide is kind of generalized for all the events or all the robots that we've built, or in both customer service and credit and collection. But what we really made an honest effort to do was always what we call normalize to maximize, and that is normalize the data that we're getting or that it's needed from our customers and that we're sending back, so that we can build routines that can be multi-purposed, multi-used throughout multiple customers. So anytime a Kapow Catalyst robot is looking at our track and trace system, we're using the same robot to do that. We might have different robots, and we have to have different robots outward facing, but inward facing, when we're looking at our own internal systems, we have single robots to handle all of the interactions with our internal systems, to pull information or to place information into it. So we really made an honest effort to normalize the systems, business process activities were performed, so that we could make everything as efficient as possible and kind of relook at how things were being done, so that we build it appropriately. So basically, the results in our customer service area, we increased our productivity. We have a virtual user to navigate the customer sites and to put data into our own systems. So that's a complete replacement of what those people were doing at that time. We think we're averaging about 30 man-hours plus per week in savings. We reduced our cost. So basically, when we streamlined all of our process through automation, so our cost of having to do that activity was removed from our customer service team. But the nice thing is we also reduced errors, and errors is a cost. I think anytime you talk about quality and business processes and you're involved in re-engineering stuff, you want to reduce errors, and we were able to. And the reason you're able to is because it's the robot is doing the work, and it doesn't make a typo, it doesn't forget a SLA, or it doesn't transpose numbers or anything like that. So really, we were able to reduce tons of errors that were causing us to do rework through the robot. And basically, we increased our revenue. So we've had, as I mentioned, I think we had to start off like 6 customer managed accounts, and we've been able to add additional managed accounts without adding customer service people. And it's funny, our customer service manager, when she'll call me up and she'll say, "Oh, I have something else for you to Kapow," and it's kind of like an internal joke, or not joke, but funny in that they want to Kapow everything that we're doing in customer service. And I'm like, "Oh, can you Kapow this? Can you Kapow that?" So we're able to add managed accounts without adding staff. So kind of running through that was customer service. So I want to do a little bit of a deeper dive here with our credit and collections area. So basically, credit and collections is we have our outstanding receivables. Many of our customers are handled through freight payment companies. So these freight payment companies are like aggregating the billing side of the process. So we deal with them as far as making payments for our customers. They make the final payment, and we're paying them. So we had about 70 plus customer and freight payment portals that we had 7 customer credit and collection agents, going out and monitoring. And so basically what they had to do is they were going out on a daily basis and monitoring these sites, and basically saying, okay, these are the receivables that I have open, these are the sites that I need to go to determine what the status of that payment is, and then if the payment was fine, or if the status was fine, they were fine. Okay, we're eventually going to get paid. But if something was wrong, we didn't have the right paperwork, if there was a dispute on any of the information that was in the invoice, and the invoice was now in a on hold status or something, that they would take that information off the freight payment portal or the customer's portal, putting that into our credit and collection software so that they could manage the process through our system, our internal system. So they were only going out and getting status information, understanding what was going on with the receivable, and then putting that information back into our system. And again, if you think about all the different, so we had 70 different customer and freight payment portals. So you had 70 different sets of logins, 70 sets of navigation, all the different statuses. Like one company's status 1 means something, and another company's status 1 means something totally different. So you had just very convoluted, complex processes, different navigation, just kind of the same things I went through with the customer service site. Very, very complex. So we had a lot of people working in that area, but only being able to handle minimal information because of the size of the area that we had to cover. We did have part of our commercial customer credit and collection software that we have. We have a commercial credit and collection software package that we use, and part of it did allow us to go out and kind of automate the routine, but it was expensive. So we were paying by transaction, so that we only pulled invoices 40 days past due, and we're really doing that every 2 weeks. not all the accounts were available, and we really weren't able to manage how it was doing it, and build a process to our own liking. So, we couldn't normalize the data as we were talking about earlier. It was just very difficult to manage that process. So, gives, again, just kind of a graphical picture of what was happening, to reinforce kind of what I went through. We had a customer service, we had a credit and collection representative that would work the queue, or her queue, or his queue. And then so we get invoice information about a shipment, and that's from our internal credit and collection system. So they were in there, they were watching our internal system. Okay, this invoice is past due, I got to go figure out why. So they would log in to either a freight payment company's portal or the customer's portal, again using the unique set of login IDs and the password, and having to navigate through the different screens to get to the information that they needed to get to. And then once they got there, they would find out what the status of the invoice was, and get the details behind it. They'd come back into our system, and they would type that information into our credit and collection system. They'd enter the notes and whatever they needed to do to make that system updated, and then from there they were able to resolve the issue in whatever fashion needed to be. So send additional information or whatever. So if you think about it, steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 on this screen were basically kind of like mundane work. It's something that they had to do just to get to step 5, and we needed them at step 5. So basically, with the Kapow Catalyst software, what we did was we built a routine that queried our OpenAR, and then it would go out to whatever portal was necessary, and using login information that we have stored in the database. It would log in. Of course, the robot knows how to navigate through the screens. It would navigate through the proper screens. It would pull off the information that we needed. And where I thought we really did a nice job, again, was normalizing the maximize. And that is, we would say, okay, status 1 on this site means X. So we would transfer that to be X in our system so that it knew we had the right status, and status, A in this system means X. We would be able to put that information into our credit and collection system in a standardized way so that everybody knew what was going on. Again, it's all automated, no human intervention yet. And then when the credit and collection representatives would come in the morning, they were ready to go right away. They were starting to resolve disputes. They weren't having to go in and understand what was open or what was not open, and then go out to the right appropriate site and pull the information, update the site, and then resolve. So we were able to take a ton of time and work off of them. So the results in credit and collection: increased productivity, error-free data integration. Again, I was talking about error-free maneuvering of data earlier. The Kapow robot, once it's built, it's getting the right information, it's putting the right information in, it's transposing the right information. Reps can focus on value-added tasks, higher quality data with normalized statuses. We reduced costs by automating entry into the credit and collection systems. We reduced use of our paid process, so that I was mentioning our process before we had was paid by transaction. We totally eliminated that, zero, no cost now. And we increased our revenue by moving our aged receivables from 22 to 21 days. Major productivity gains. I mean, you start adding up and rolling up the things that we've had. 191,000 savings per year in customer service, 84,000 a year in savings. In credit and collections. I mean, basically, the ROI on the Kapow software was very minimal. Can't get in, of course, what we paid, but quick ROI, quick return on the investment by getting these customer service and credit and collection gains almost immediate. The nice thing about the Kapow software also is we really quickly started to notice other usages, and I'll just hit them real quick because I know we're getting close to the end of the time here, but we see a need. We can use this in Canadian custom forms. We've used this to update credit card payment processes, our state tax forms. So there's been just a wide usage beyond what we initially thought we'd be able to use the software for to bring value and automation to other parts of our business. So with that, that's my last slide. I'll just turn the presentation back over to Uriah.
All right, thanks, Darren. I appreciate that, and it's definitely a great story. Maybe you didn't pay enough for the software based on what you just told us, right? Anyway, so for those of you who aren't familiar with Kapow, as Darren's kind of pointed out, and I think it's a great case, we help make business processes better and more efficient with data. So we really support data-driven organizations by making this critical data for their business accessible, affordable, and actionable, as Darren's kind of taken us through. So I definitely encourage you to contact us today to understand how you can start leveraging Kapow to increase efficiencies across your supply chain ecosystem. So I think we have time for a couple of questions. Darren, if you don't mind advancing to the last slide there. But again, I think for anyone who wants to ask, feel free to type some questions into the window here. Looks like we have a couple for you. So first, maybe a little bit kind of a broader question. How long did it take you guys to automate some of these processes that you went through, some of those examples?
Sure. I'll hit credit and collection first. Some of those were extremely easy. We could do those in a matter of hours, particularly after we got some of the back-end integration done and knew how to get information out of our system. So we were going anywhere from a couple hours to sometimes the sites were a little bit more difficult, and I would say take a couple of days max. So anywhere from a couple hours to a couple of days. Customer service, I would say in the same range. I'd say 3 to 5 days probably, maybe. We could get a robot built that would walk through the customer site and place the information in that we needed to and pull back what we needed.
Okay, good. So what, I don't think we really touched on it much, but what kind of skills did your Kapow developer need? Is there anything special that they had to use? Did you have to hire to do that? And I guess kind of related, what was the learning curve to get them started?
Right. We didn't have to hire anybody special to do the work. We had there's a person on my team who is a web developer, IT literate, understands databases, that was trained in your software and how to build the robots. And we have that. He's our main primary person, and then we have another person who's what I would call a power user. Not really, is not in an IT role, but is more in a business role. But again, understands databases, understands transactions, understands the flow of the business. And both people we trained. I think we had one of your trainers in for 3 days, and during that process, we built robots and we trained. And coming out of that, both people were ready to go immediately. So 3-day training period, no special skills needed to start off with. It's just basically learning your software.
Okay, good. That sounds good. I guess in terms of, some of the other solutions that you kind of talked about, certainly you showed some of these data sources here. How flexible do you kind of see this being for other data sources, other targets? And I guess there's a kind of secondary question here around EDI, and I don't know that you're necessarily using it for that, but would you see that being something that maybe you could also consider kind of integrating into the process?
Yeah, we're not using it in conjunction with EDI. It's been very flexible, the tool overall. And if you notice that some of the other areas were accounting, in our accounting area, updating credit card information that we have on site and needed here. We used it to update tax forms, so we went out and got tax area information from government sites, and we're able to update our own internal tax information. So it's been flexible with other business activities and other sources of data. It's basically if you can navigate through a site and you can pull the information or place the information that you need. We have used it as a replacement for EDI, and that, I don't know if that's maybe where your question was going, but we've had customers that where we've been either kind of had a choice of setting up the robot or using EDI transactions, and it's been quicker and easier, and we kind of put the onus on us to do the work, but it's in our control then, and we've used Kapow in replacement of EDI.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where the question was going. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well, it looks like that's about all the questions, and I think we're right at the time here, anyways. So thank you, everyone, and thanks especially for you, Darren, for helping us out today. For the rest of you, please join us for future webinars as a continuing part of our Kapow Now 30-minute webinar series. Again, you can check our website. The link is on the screen here to not only see the upcoming schedule, but also view the recordings from all the previous sessions. So the next webinar is going to be talking about other real-world examples of using data to improve business processes and drive better outcomes. So again, thanks everyone for joining.